can choose to do with my property whatever I so desire.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the best examples of actor goofs that can be seen in the finished movie.
Knock it off, get back. Number 3, step forward.
Number 50, running into the vehicle, Blade Runner.
I'm lost.
Don't worry, I won't hurt you.
An icon of 80s cinema, Daryl Hannah starred in Blade Runner as Pris Stratton, an escaped replicant seeking a longer lifespan in futuristic LA. In this scene, she's startled to see JF Sebastian and runs, plowing straight into his nearby vehicle.
Hey!
This accident was not in the script, but was a genuine slip-up of Hannah's, pun intended. Hannah accidentally ran into the prop vehicle for real and her arm went straight through the glass window, chipping her elbow in 8 places. She even shows the scar in the Dangerous Days documentary, a permanent keepsake from her time in the classic film.
You forgot your bag.
Number 49, Janet steps on Brad's foot, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Part of the fun of the Rocky Horror Picture Show is pointing out the blatant continuity mistakes and various goofs peppered throughout the film. It's all part of the cheap B-movie charm. One of the best mistakes is found in the climax during the mutiny of Riff Raff and Magenta. Shortly after they burst into the room, Brad and Janet express fear and back away from Frankenfurter. Along the way, Susan Sarandon accidentally stepped on Barry Bostwick's foot with her spiked heel, causing him to visibly grimace in pain. It doesn't last long. The pain that Bostwick experienced is apparent. You can practically hear the scream.
Wait! I can explain.
Number 48, a crude wake-up, The Martian.
It's all right. All 25 models for launch will take 414 days to reach Mars. They vary slightly in restoration, and the fuel requirement is nearly identical.
While his role is small, Donald Glover shines as Rich Purnell, a young astrodynamicist who devises a genius idea for rescuing Mark from Mars. Rich is a hyperactive man who speaks quickly and gets lost in thought, both of which are seen in his very first appearance. Rich stops talking and gets a surprised look on his face, telling his coworker that he needs more coffee. Shortly after getting up, he trips and falls to the ground, completely out of the camera's sight.
I need more coffee.
Are you all right?
It's fine.
This was an unintentional visual gag made by Glover, who genuinely slipped and fell. Rather than break character, he decided to keep going, rising to his feet and declaring that he was fine. Power of coffee. Number 47, Katniss' sloppy archery, the Hunger Games franchise.
What are you gonna do with that when you kill it?
Damn you, Gale!
It's a pretty big deal when your character who's supposedly a master archer can't even hold a bow properly. Most general moviegoers wouldn't notice that Katniss is actually quite a poor archer, but it's true. A number of experts and hobbyists have explained the myriad mistakes found in the Hunger Games movies, from the way Katniss holds her bow to the inaccurate movement and pointer grip. These aren't big deals for casual viewers, but the mistakes would significantly impact Katniss' accuracy, and probably cause her some serious injuries as well.
Thank you.
Number 46, a cigarette straight to the eyeball, The Usual Suspects.
We wouldn't have made him, okay?
That's funny. Called me last night. He says he wants to meet you guys.
Cigarettes are hot. Eyeballs are sensitive. The two do not make for a fun combination. In one brutal scene, Redfoot flicks a cigarette into the face of McManus, prompting a rather violent reaction. It makes for a wince-inducing visual, and it was a total accident by Redfoot's actor Peter Green. Green was supposed to flick the cigarette into Stephen Baldwin's chest, but he missed his mark and accidentally flicked him straight in the eye. The camera quickly cuts to Fenster's shocked reaction, reportedly because everyone broke character and rushed to Baldwin to make sure he was alright. He was, luckily.
One more thing, tough guy. Any more surprises, and I'm gonna kill you.
Number 45, Stallone's Howl of Pain, First Blood.
Don't push it. Don't push it, I'll give you a war you won't believe.
For the most part, First Blood is a realistic and down-to-earth action film about a traumatized vet stalking police in the Washington woods. Perhaps the biggest set piece in the film sees Rambo jumping off a cliff, landing in a tree, and somehow walking away with his life. Rambo is left mostly unscathed, but Sylvester Stallone wasn't so lucky. Stallone performed the stunt himself, that is, falling through the trees, not jumping off the cliff. He slammed into a branch on his way down, breaking one of his ribs and causing him to howl in pain. These are both seen and heard in the film, adding a nice degree of authenticity to the on-screen injury. Number 44, Joel Doesn't Get Archery, Addams Family Values.
Excellent, Amanda!
Thank you.
We return for another archery mistake, only this one is much funnier. In one scene of Addams Family Values, Joel is attempting to do archery but is having some trouble getting the arrow on the bow. One of the counselors gets impatient, prompting Joel to throw the arrow to the ground.
Clicker, go!
Good try.
In reality, this was not Joel, but actor David Krumholtz getting frustrated. Krumholtz was supposed to notch the arrow and shoot it off screen, but he couldn't figure it out and eventually just threw the prop at anger. Krumholtz thought he was going to be in trouble, but the director actually loved the improv and decided to keep it in the movie. Number 43, Sarah Silverman gets punched, The Way of the Gun.
She's got a big mouth, but she's not kidding.
This neo-western was the first movie directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who would later find great success helming the Mission Impossible franchise. What better way to break in a new director than having one actor accidentally punch another in the face? In this scene, Ryan Phillippe's Parker is berated by Silverman, so he gives her a nasty knuckle sandwich. According to Silverman, Phillippe really did punch her, causing her to fall to the ground and giving her a massive welt on her cheek. Unlike his character, Phillippe was endlessly sorry for the mistake, as he reportedly cried while apologizing to Silverman. Number 42, Eva Greens' hair catches on fire, The Dreamers.
This is double the length of...
Before she was a Bond girl, Eva Green starred in an erotic drama called The Dreamers, playing a young woman named Isabel. In this scene, Isabel leans in to kiss Matthew goodnight and accidentally sends her hair into a nearby candle. The flame instantly lights her hair on fire, prompting both her and Matthew to suffocate the flame with their hands. This was a real mistake. Green's hair was actually on fire, and the quick reactions from both Green and Michael Pitt were 100% genuine. Luckily, their quick thinking prevented any serious injury from occurring. Number 41, Nick the Greek breaks the table, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
I don't want to see it after a sample. I don't want to touch it after a sample. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Nathan here.
One of Guy Ritchie's most popular films, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is a crime film with a great sense of humor. Enter Stephen Marcus accidentally breaking a glass table. Marcus plays Nick the Greek, a fence who is selling drugs to gangster Rory Breaker. Shortly after rising from his chair, Nick drops a glass onto Rory's table, causing it to shatter into pieces.
Do you know what I mean?
This was not scripted, and Marcus actually broke the table with his glass. His look of surprise is completely genuine, and it makes for a brilliant visual gag. Number 40, Gittes, Chinatown. This classic noir follows Jack Nicholson's Jake Gittes as he investigates a complex water scheme in the 1930s Los Angeles. His journey leads him to Noah Cross, who sits with Jake for a fancy lunch. There are numerous times throughout the conversation that Noah mispronounces Gittes' name, even after he's politely corrected.
Mr. Gittes.
Gittes.
Gittes. You're dealing with a disturbed woman who just lost her husband. I don't want her taken advantage of. Sit down.
This is a moment of unplanned filmmaking magic. The repeated mispronouncing of Gittes' name is a great power move that helps establish Noah's dominance and uncaring attitude. In reality, this was a genuine mistake made by actor John Huston. Director Roman Polanski decided to keep it, apparently loving what it did for Noah's character.
What about her?
Just find the girl, Mr. Gittes.
Number 39, Ducking Behind the Car, 16 Candles.
Why, you little scuzzbag.
Wow!
In this John Hughes classic, comedian Billy Bird plays Dorothy Baker, the grandmother of Molly Ringwald's Samantha. Dorothy's involved in a comedic scene that sees people climbing in and out of a car while going to a wedding. Dorothy is the last character to supposedly enter the car, which makes the goof all the more glaring. Rather than entering the car, Billy Bird crouches behind it and kneels in place as it peels away. It's a very glaring and obvious mistake, as Bird's blue costume can easily be seen through the car's windows. You can't blame Bird here, as this was likely a framing mistake made by either the director or cinematographer. Either way, it sure is hilarious.
I paid $7 grand for a wedding, I'll never see it.
Oh, watch your language, Mr. Dirty Mouth.
Number 38, SlowMo Fall, Baywatch. This comedy was a film adaptation of the beloved TV show, so you better believe there was some slow motion running.
Is it just me, or is she...
In super slow motion.
The final scene shows a bunch of characters running on the beach, including Zac Efron's Matt Brody. Matt goes to bump arms with Mitch when he loses his footing and falls to the sand. Slow motion trips have long been the source of comedic parody, and Baywatch continued the tradition. But according to Efron, this fall was completely unscripted. He told USA Today that he genuinely tripped while shooting the run and was somewhat embarrassed, considering the iconic nature of the scene. Luckily, it worked well for comedic effect and was kept in the film.
Guys, after finding the drugs, helping save Chen, and helping me blow up the bad girl with a Roman candle, it's a pleasure to say you are officially no longer trainees.
Number 37, Phone Book to Face, The Heat. In one of the movie's funniest scenes, Sarah and Shannon decide to play good cop, bad cop during an interrogation. Shortly after Sarah walks into the room, Shannon bursts in, pushes Sarah out of the way, and hurls a phone book straight at the suspect's face.
Coffee? I drink a little more coffee than I probably should. Where's Larkin? Couldn't wait 10 seconds? 10 seconds?
This was not a camera trick. Actor Michael McDonald was actually drilled in the face. He insisted on using a real phone book and reportedly planned to dodge it, but that clearly didn't work. You can actually see a brief grimace of pain on McDonald's face before the camera cuts to McCarthy. It certainly looks painful, but worry not, he was completely okay.
How long is this gonna take? I don't know, maybe 12 hours, hopefully less. I have to find out what drives him. We could just go in there and beat him with a phone book.
Number 36, Terry Crashes the Scooter, American Graffiti. Directed by George Lucas 4 years before Star Wars, American Graffiti is a coming-of-age comedy that takes place in early 60s California.
Rock and roll's been going downhill ever since Buddy Holly died.
Don't you think the Beach Boys are boss?
You would, you grungy little twerp.
The laughs begin immediately with the dorky and unpopular Terry Fields crashing his scooter in a drive-in parking lot. Terry stops the scooter and starts getting off when he suddenly accelerates and crashes into some garbage. This was a genuine accident by actor Charles Martin Smith, and his hilarious "oh crap" reaction was 100% real. Rather than panicking and calling cut, Lucas kept the cameras rolling and let the accident play itself out.
Excuse me, but I think we've had an accident.
Well, goddammit, I won't report you this time, but next time just watch it, will ya?
Number 35, Knocked Out, The Princess Bride. One scene in Rob Reiner's classic comedy sees Count Tyrone Rugen knocking out Wesley with a sword.
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
If this injury looks a little too real, it's because it is. The cast was filming with real swords, and Christopher Guest was going easy on Cary Elwes, as he didn't want to hurt him. However, the actors weren't getting satisfactory footage, so Elwes told Guest to hit him hard. Guest did as agreed and smacked Elwes with a good amount of force. The impact knocked him out cold, and he required stitches to close the resulting gash in his head. Elwes literally paid for it in blood, but hey, at least they got good footage.
Will you promise not to hurt him?
What was that?
Number 34, Missed Light Switch, Grease. Behold the secret of the filmmaking process. Right before the legendary beauty school dropout, a newly pink-haired Frenchie speaks to the elderly waitress of the diner. She cleans up after Frenchie's friends and loads up a tray with various goodies.
Wow. What? Well, I hate to tell you this, but your hair looks like an Easter egg.
With both hands full, she's forced to use her elbow to turn off the lights. Observant viewers will notice that her elbow is a good 2 or 3 inches below the switch, yet the light turns off anyway. It's glaringly obvious that the switch doesn't actually do anything and that a stagehand was responsible for the lights. Either that or that waitress is a witch.
If only I could have a guardian angel to tell me what to do. You know, like Debbie Reynolds had in Tammy. What do you think?
If you find him, give him my phone number.
Number 33, Docked Points, Bring It On. Filming sports movies sounds like a difficult and stressful process, as the potential for serious accidents seems very high.
You?
And you? I mean, hi, I'm...
A cheerleader.
Yeah. Head cheerleader to be exact.
The climactic scene in this cheerleading comedy sees the East Compton Clovers performing their choreographed routine at the national championship. About 20 seconds into the routine, 2 cheerleaders experience a major failure in communication and choreography. If you look on the left side of the screen, you'll see the 2 cheerleaders collide, with one accidentally running into the path of the other. It's quite easy to miss, but it's one of those things that you'll never be able to unsee.
Do you know what this means? My entire cheerleading career has been a lie.
Well, look on the bright side. It's only cheerleading.
Number 32, PC Load Letter, Office Space. A defining comedy of the 90s, Office Space spoke to a generation of employees suffering from the corporate blues.
Wanna go to Chachki's? Get some coffee?
Oh, it's a little early.
I gotta get out of here. I think I'm gonna lose it.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
One particularly famous scene sees Michael Bolton talking to his friends Peter and Samir when an error message appears on the printer. Michael stops mid-sentence and smacks the printer in frustration, sending the tray clattering to the floor. It's a genius scene, and yet none of it was planned. The printer had run out of paper from previous takes, causing it to beep and interrupt actor David Herman. Herman ran with it and spun comedic gold in the process.
Samir, you're missing the point.
point of the exercise is that you're supposed to figure out what you would want to do. If PC load letter.
Number 31, Smashing the Mirror, Nightcrawler. This eerie thriller stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Lou Bloom, an opportunistic and manipulative freelance photographer.
Will this be on television?
Morning news. If it bleeds, it leads.
What channel?
Whoever pays the most.
One highly charged scene sees a stressed out Lou looking at himself in the bathroom mirror. He suddenly screams in frustration and slams the cabinet door closed, shattering the attached mirror. This scream and resulting cabinet banging were apparently improvised by Gyllenhaal, as both he and the director were trying different approaches to the scene. Unfortunately, the breaking glass cut deep into Gyllenhaal's hand and the cut required nearly 50 stitches to close. But Gyllenhaal's a trooper. Not only did he keep his cool, but he finished the scene by walking past the camera and out of the bathroom.
I'm just beginning, so praise from someone such as yourself, well, you can imagine that it means quite a lot.
Number 30, The Sweeping Extra, Quantum of Solace. This certainly isn't the greatest Bond film, complete with a messy plot and some glaringly evident goofs.
When I suggest you leave now, you contact your people and you tell them to check their seals. They have a leak. Do it now, please. This man and I have some unfinished business.
It features one of the most iconic on-screen mishaps, and it comes through the form of a sweeping extra. While Bond sits idle on his motorcycle, a man in the background can be seen sweeping the dock. However, the broom is hovering about half a foot off the ground, and we're left wondering how that dock is getting cleaned. This was likely a sound issue, as the noise of the swishing broom would have been picked up by the microphones. This sort of stuff happens all the time in movies. They just don't make it so obvious.
Bond, you killed a man in Brigands.
I did my best not to.
You shot him at point blank and threw him off a roof. I'd hardly call that showing restraint.
Number 29, Joaquin Phoenix breaks a toilet, The Master. Did you know it was possible to break a toilet with your feet? Well, Joaquin Phoenix didn't. His character in The Master, Freddie Quell, is thrown in a jail cell and begins acting violently by smashing himself into the bed and destroying the toilet. For this intensely physical scene, Phoenix studied how wild animals behave in captivity and acted with similar aggression. Part of this animalistic behavior included breaking the toilet with a few hard kicks. He didn't think such a thing could be done, telling the New York Times, "I didn't intend to break the thing. I didn't know that was possible." Well, it is possible, and he found that out firsthand. Luckily, it was in the service of a great scene.
Your fear of capture and imprisonment is an implant from millions of years ago.
Number 28, Billy hits Stu with the phone, Scream. Few horror comedies have towed the line quite as expertly as Scream.
Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see. No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
Even in the horrifying climax with bodies piling up and characters drenched in blood, the movie still makes an effort to keep audiences laughing. In fact, one of the film's signature bits of comedy comes in the climax when Billy hits Stu with the landline phone. The phone actually slipped out of Skeet Ulrich's hand, owing to the prop blood, and hit Matthew Lillard in the back of the head. He improvised Stu's iconic reaction, and Wes Craven loved it so much that he kept it in the film.
Now that Billy tried to mutilate her, do you think Sid would go out with me?
Number 27, Jane Russell falls into the pool. Gentlemen prefer blondes. This classic comedy features a number of dazzling musical sequences, including the song Ain't There Anyone Here for Love. It's sung by 50s sex symbol Jane Russell and takes place inside a gymnasium. The choreographed dance ends in a rather unpredictable fashion. Numerous men dive over Russell as she sits by the side of the pool, but the last man clips her back and sends her into the water.
Ain't there anyone, 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 anyone?
It makes for an endearing if somewhat painful looking finish, and it was completely unplanned. The dancer, a man named Ed Fury, accidentally slammed into Russell during his dive. He then attempted to claim choreography credit for the failed stunt and was fired as a result.
You're one of the Olympic athletes, aren't you?
One of them? Sister, I'm the only four-letter man on the team.
I should think you'd be ashamed to admit it. What? No, don't say another word.
Number 26, Anne Hathaway slips, The Princess Diaries. Anne Hathaway made her film debut in this 2001 cult classic, playing Princess of Genovia, Mia Thermopolis. Mia has a friend named Lily, and it's while talking with her that an iconic movie goof occurs. Hathaway is walking up and down some bleachers when she slips off the metal and falls with a hilarious little squeak.
Number 2, you always have to look just right. Number 3.
Hathaway and Heather Matarazzo remain in character. Well, kinda. Hathaway laughs in embarrassment and Matarazzo asks if she's okay. This was a genuine interaction between the two actresses, but it also works for the moment and the characters. It's this type of professionalism that would lead Hathaway to a future Oscar.
I love you! Okay, I'm gonna buy you another charm for your charm bracelet. Okay. See you Saturday night!
Joe!
Number 25, Robin Williams slips, the birdcage. And speaking of funny falls that were kept in the movie, let's talk the birdcage. This oft-forgotten comedy stars Robin Williams as Armand Goldman, a gay drag club owner who tries to impress the conservative parents of his son's fiancée. During a hectic get-together, Armand slips on the kitchen floor and comically falls out of frame.
Give you things to do, you don't give me no time to shout.
Shut up! It's okay. We're all right.
Williams actually slipped, but being the consummate pro that he was, he kept the scene going through his own giggles. Fortunately, the fall works splendidly as a visual gag, and the brief character break from Williams only adds to the manic hilarity.
What are you standing there for? Go! Go! She'll be here in a minute. Go!
Number 24, Scoffield runs into soldiers, 1917.
The attack has been called off. General Ehrenmoor has called off the attack.
Boltzmann, we're about to go over. We've got them on the run.
If there's one defining image from 1917, it's Will Schofield running across an exploding battleground as soldiers pour from a trench. It's a brilliant cinematic achievement, and it nearly ended in disaster. During the run, actor George Mackay is twice knocked over by extras, but he gets up both times and keeps running. These were genuine accidents, and they resulted in some noticeable errors. The first soldier to hit Schofield lays on the ground and plays dead, and at one point the camera stops and waits for Mackay to catch up. This would have been a nightmare to refilm, so they essentially just ran with it, no pun intended. Luckily, these little errors add to the moment and help aid in the scene's incredible tension.
Let me through! Let me through! You do it! Get through! I have to see Colonel Mackenzie! I have to stop this attack!
Number 23, Kurt Russell breaks a priceless guitar, the Hateful Eight. If you're working with a genuine antique worth lots of money, it's probably best to inform your actor of that fact. Kurt Russell's John Ruth grabs Daisy's guitar and smashes it against a pillar.
Music time's over. Turn around.
This was an actual guitar dating from the 1870s that was lent to the production by a museum. The guitar was supposed to be replaced by a smashable prop, but for some reason the real guitar was kept in, resulting in complete destruction. Jennifer Jason Leigh's shocked reaction is real, and she clearly looks off camera toward the crew. There's even an awkward edit when it cuts to the other angle as if filming was stopped to allow everyone to compose themselves.
That's the one you like to sing in a stagecoach, huh?
Yeah.
She's kind of pretty.
Number 22, a young extra covers his ears, North by Northwest. Working with loud noises must be very hard, even for the pros. You know a loud noise is coming and you instinctively want to flinch, but you obviously can't, as that would ruin the take. This conundrum resulted in a classic goof in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. Eve shoots Roger with blanks in a crowded restaurant, and a kid in the background can clearly be seen covering his ears in anticipation of the shot. What makes this even worse is that he's in plain view of the camera and plugs his ears long before Eve actually shoots. Hitchcock either didn't notice this, which is hard to believe, or he just didn't care. Sometimes good enough is good enough.
That wasn't very sporting, using real bullets.
Number 21, Luke Can't See a Thing, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. In one of the movie's most iconic sequences, Luke and Han suit up in Stormtrooper outfits to save Princess Leia from captivity on the Death Star. Luke comically mentions that he can't see out of his helmet, and this moment births a popular urban legend.
I can't see a thing in this helmet.
The story goes that Mark Hamill said this to Harrison Ford, not knowing that the cameras were rolling. This is a half-truth. Hamill clarified on Twitter that the line was indeed ad-libbed, but that he knew they were shooting at the time. Regardless, George Lucas loved the line, incorporated it into future takes, and eventually put it in the finished film.
The Force will be with you, always.
Number 20, Spit Take, Fast and Furious 6. Spit takes are usually reserved for wacky sitcoms, so it's always great to see a genuine spit take in the wild. A fantastic one can be seen in Fast and Furious 6. When Hobbs arrives at the barbecue, Roman makes a jab about hiding Mia's baby oil.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil. I'm just playing.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
Dwayne Johnson was not supposed to respond to this, but he improvised a line about Roman's big-ass forehead instead. This caused Ludacris to crack up, resulting in a genuine spit take that was captured on camera. Luckily, the take could be used in the movie as Tyrese Gibson stayed in character and dejectedly responded to Johnson's jab.
I was just joking. Whatever.
Number 19, Ask Me Again, Almost Famous. Sometimes mistakes result in great character moments.
I'm gonna live in Morocco for 1 year.
Such is the case in this scene between Patrick Fugit's William and Kate Hudson's Penny Lane.
Do you wanna come?
Yes.
Penny asks William if he'd like to go to Morocco with her, and he responds in a somewhat awkward manner. He then says, "Ask me again," and this time he responds with a far more enthusiastic yes.
Ask me again.
Do you want to come?
Yes.
According to director Cameron Crowe, this interaction was a blooper, as Fugit asked Hudson to repeat her line so he could give a better take. Crowe loved the interaction so much he decided to leave both takes in the movie, resulting in a wonderful bit of character work. A great director knows when they have magic on their hands. Number 18. StarLord drops the Infinity Stone, Guardians of the Galaxy. The MCU is full of terrific casting, but Chris Pratt in the role of StarLord is particularly inspired.
See, that's exactly why none of you have any friends. 5 seconds after you meet somebody, you're already trying to kill them.
And as in Parks and Recreation, Pratt's improvisation and blunders only add to his character. In the scene involving the Collector, StarLord fumbles the orb and drops it on the ground. According to James Gunn in the audio commentary, this was a complete accident, as Chris Pratt actually fumbled the prop. But rather than laughing, Pratt decided to pick it up and play it off, and Gunn loved it so much that he kept it in the movie. It was a happy accident, and a perfect example of StarLord's lovably goofball nature.
There's a little pee coming out of me right now.
Number 17. Al Pacino trips over a garbage can. Scent of a Woman. Al Pacino won an Academy Award for his role as the blind Frank Slade, a retired and irritable lieutenant colonel.
I'm tired, Joey. Tired.
Pacino undertook meticulous research for the role, which included meeting with members of New York's Associated Blind. He also met with the Lighthouse Guild, who taught him techniques that blind people use to perform everyday tasks. In order to simulate his character's blindness, Pacino never allowed his eyes to focus. Because of this, he accidentally ran into a garbage can while filming on the street.
Colonel! Shit, right? How are you doing?
The actor stayed in character and the blooper was kept in the movie, adding to the realism of his performance.
What are you doing? What is you? Stand up. Come on.
I'm tired, Joey.
Number 16. Fart. Rainman. Rainman is one of the most memorable films of the late 80s, thanks in large part to the electric chemistry between Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
Is that Ray? Just one little second.
It seems like they got along well behind the camera as well, as Hoffman was comfortable enough to let loose in an enclosed phone booth with Cruise.
Yeah, Charlie Babbitt, I'll hold. Fart. Did you fart, Ray? Fart.
Hoffman stayed in character while farting, and Cruise, ever the professional, decided to run with it, remaining in character and performing some banter with Hoffman.
How can you stand it? Yeah, Ken? 10 minutes to watch.
Ken, hey, how are you? It's Charlie Babbitt.
Hoffman looks back proudly on the scene, saying, quote, "It's just my favorite moment of anything I've ever done. That includes Shakespeare." So that settles it. Farting is better than Shakespeare. Number 15. Jim Carrey asks for a line. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. This movie didn't do super well at the box office, but most people will agree that Jim Carrey made for a great Count Olaf. When meeting the Baudelaire children, Olaf asks Klaus to repeat himself so he can give a more appropriate reaction to their parents' deaths.
Wait, let me do that one more time. Give me the line again.
But legend has it that Carrey had actually wanted to do another take and was asking the script supervisor to give him the line again. Carrey can even be seen gesturing off camera with his left hand, presumably towards the script supervisor. Through a clever bit of editing, the filmmakers were able to work it into the movie and make it seem like just another one of Olaf's eccentricities.
I will raise these orphans as if they were actually wanted.
Number 14. Kip breaks the Tupperware. Napoleon Dynamite.
You see, this ain't your run-of-the-mill crapperware. These are some serious Nupont fiber woven bowls.
One of the funniest scenes in Napoleon Dynamite sees Kip driving over a Tupperware bowl, shattering it, and driving away in utter defeat. This is another example of a real-life gaffe making the scene even funnier than it was envisioned. The original plan was to have the Tupperware slightly deform and reshape itself, but it ended up exploding with a satisfying pop.
Dang it!
Not wanting to waste a fantastic opportunity, actor Aaron Rule decided to improvise Kip's disappointment and drove out of the shot. It is infinitely funnier than what was planned, and it proves that the comedy gods were smiling upon the Napoleon Dynamite filmmakers that day.
So, how does the dealio sound to you?
Number 13. George C. Scott trips and falls. Dr. Strangelove. Stanley Kubrick has a legendary filmography, so it's hard to pick his best movie.
For today, war is too important to be left to politicians.
But if arms were twisted, the answer for many would be Dr. Strangelove. Even if it's not his best, it's certainly his funniest, as this movie is jam-packed with biting satire and old-fashioned slapstick from start to finish.
Hey, what about Major Kong?
One of the funnier visuals sees General Turgidson tripping, falling to the ground, and continuing his conversation while still on the floor.
It's an obvious comic trick, Mr. President. We're wasting valuable time. Look at the big boy. They're getting ready to clobber us.
Actor George C. Scott really tripped while performing the scene, but decided to stay in character, resulting in an unintentionally brilliant bit of slapstick comedy. Perhaps this professionalism was a remnant of Scott's Broadway and Shakespeare career, as there is no cutting or breaking character on the stage. Number 12, The Bed, Titanic.
Don't artists need good light?
That is true, but I'm not used to working in such horrible conditions.
There are many classic scenes in Titanic, but perhaps the most iconic of them all is Jack painting Rose on the couch. Or is it a bed? After Rose undresses, Jack grows visibly and audibly flustered. So much so he flubs his instructions, telling Rose to lie on the bed before quickly correcting himself.
Over on the bed, the couch.
This was a real mistake from Leonardo DiCaprio, but director James Cameron loved the take so much he decided to keep it in. It was a great creative decision, as it wonderfully depicts Jack's intense feelings. Plus, it makes the scene that much more realistic and meaningful, and yes, steamy. Number 11, I Didn't Know You Could Read, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. In order to access the Slytherin common room and suss out information from Malfoy, Harry and Ron decide to drink Polyjuice Potion and disguise themselves as Crabbe and Goyle. Unfortunately, Harry forgets to take off his glasses, leading Malfoy to question why Goyle is wearing them. When Harry explains that he was reading, Malfoy offhandedly remarks that he didn't know Goyle could read.
Why are you wearing glasses?
Reading.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
This line was completely improvised by Tom Felton, who supposedly forgot his actual response. Jason Isaacs, who plays Felton's fictional father Lucius, claims that improvisation was welcomed on set, and that it often led to many great interactions.
They're an embarrassment to the wizarding world. All of them.
Number 10, Dallas and Sherry, The Outsiders. The Outsiders is a pretty heavy story, but it is punctuated with moments of levity. This is one of those moments. While putting the moves on Sherry, Dallas accidentally falls out of his chair and is laughed at by both Ponyboy and Sherry.
Are you real?
It works wonderfully within the context of the scene, and it was also a total freak accident. Matt Dillon actually fell out of his chair, and the laughs from C. Thomas Howell and Diane Lane were genuine. In fact, you can totally see Howell glance off camera towards the crew, presumably expecting the director to cut. Luckily, they decided to keep rolling, and Lane can be seen trying to contain her laughter as Dillon continues as planned.
How can I find out if this is your real red hair?
Number 9, Tablecloth Trick, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. If you're looking to impress people at a party, you can never go wrong with this classic. That is, unless you do it wrong.
Now about those who's inviting me down there on such short notice.
Ripping a tablecloth off of a table without disrupting any of the place settings is an art form. People work very hard at mastering this trick.
But what would I wear?
And here's Jim Carrey doing it flawlessly without even meaning to. The script reportedly called for the Grinch to simply yank the cloth off the table, but Carrey accidentally performed a flawless tablecloth trick in the process. Rather than just leaving it at that, Carrey ran back and cleared the table the old-fashioned way. This is one of those unscripted moments that proved infinitely more entertaining than what the screenwriters called for. Number 8, Male Models, Zoolander. It seems like Tom Felton took a page out of Ben Stiller's book. Whenever you forget your line, just make up something funny. When Derek Zoolander asks David Duchovny's J.P. Pruitt why male models are being used as assassins, Pruitt embarks on a long and detailed explanation.
So why male models?
It seems like Zoolander is understanding perfectly. That is, until Pruitt finishes his explanation and Zoolander asks the exact same question.
But why male models?
Stiller had actually forgotten his next line and decided to just ask the question again. Duchovny rolled with Stiller's ad-lib and improvised his own response to Zoolander's dim-witted question.
You serious? I just told you that a moment ago.
Right.
Number 7, Barts Laugh, Blazing Saddles. When you put Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder on the screen together, you get pure movie magic.
You looking for this?
Blazing Saddles is widely regarded as one of the funniest movies ever made, even though it is unapologetically vulgar and provocative.
You gotta remember that these are just simple farmers.
One of the funnier scenes involves Wilder's character, the Waco Kid, talking about morons. It's very obvious that Little is desperately trying to contain a smile throughout the entire scene, but Wilder's morons line proves too much, and he breaks character with a genuine laugh.
The common clay of the New West. You know. Morons.
It's weirdly warming to see such a genuine reaction from an actor. Comedy directors should leave character breaks like this one in the film more often. Number 6. Bonk! Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Speaking of Gene Wilder, he intentionally messed with Paris Themin while filming the pure imagination sequence of Willy Wonka. The children had been instructed not to pass Gene Wilder on the steps. And so, Mike TV's look of regret and hesitation is very real. But the movie's best mistake doesn't come from Wilder, but rather Aubrey Woods, who plays Bill the Candyman.
Separate the sorrow and collect up all the cream, the Candyman.
Willy Wonka can. During the Candyman song, Woods absolutely pegs a little girl in the chin while raising the counter. The young actress visibly recoils from the brutal uppercut she's just received, but she carries on and continues the scene as rehearsed. What a pro. Number 5. Farting, The Usual Suspects. Farting plus a long day of shooting equals unstoppable giggles.
All right, you all know the drill. When your number is called, step forward and repeat the phrase you've been given.
The famous lineup sequence from The Usual Suspects was supposed to be serious and dramatic, but Benicio del Toro kept farting and cracking everyone up. According to Kevin Pollak on the special edition DVD, Del Toro had been farting for 12 straight takes, and the actors were getting giddy.
Number 3, step forward.
This reportedly infuriated director Bryan Singer, who was trying to film the sequence properly. He'd lost all control of his actors and decided to just cut the scene in a humorous fashion by using a combination of the funniest takes. The result was comedy gold.
How many keys, you cocksucker?
In English, please.
Excuse me.
Number 4. Martin Sheen Breaks Down, Apocalypse Now.
I'm still only in Saigon.
Martin Sheen had a hell of a time filming Apocalypse Now, what with suffering a heart attack, cutting his hand on a shard of glass, and battling alcoholism. The latter two can be seen during the famous sequence in which Willard breaks down in his hotel room. Legend has it that Sheen got really drunk, told the camera operators to roll, and completely improvised the sequence himself. He essentially had a nervous breakdown on screen and ended up punching a real mirror, slicing his hand and bleeding all over the set in the process. His behavior was allegedly so disturbing that everyone wanted to stop filming, but Sheen was adamant that he continue unopposed. Number 3. Aragorn's Pain, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Early in The Two Towers, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli search the plains of Middle-earth for Merry and Pippin.
It's one of them belts.
After meeting the Rohirrim, they're led to believe that the hobbits were killed in the Rohirrim's massacre of the Uruk-hai. Aragorn kicks a helmet in frustration and falls to his knees, screaming in fury and emotional agony. Aragorn's emotional agony was actually Viggo Mortensen's physical agony, as he broke 2 toes kicking the prop helmet.
I thought, wow, this is strong. I mean, this is like Aragorn is like just in total grief at what's just happened to Merry and Pippin. This is really cool.
Ever the pro, Mortensen decided to remain in character and didn't even tell anyone he'd injured himself until it became obvious. Peter Jackson loved Mortensen's scream so much, he used the take in the movie.
I mean, Viggo actually, feeling that pain, he actually turned that into performance.
Number 2. Stormtrooper bonks his head. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. When you wear a Stormtrooper helmet, you run the risk of low visibility, and for one trooper at least, bonking your head. The identity of the Stormtrooper remains disputed, although it is believed to be either Laurie Good or Michael Leader.
Take over. CD.
Either way, the blooper has become a famous piece of movie history, and while it was initially overlooked, George Lucas has since acknowledged the gaffe in many ways. In Attack of the Clones, Jango Fett bumps his head on a clearance door in homage to the Stormtrooper, and in the 2004 re-release, the bonking was given an audible sound effect.
Take over. CD him.
Apparently, actors hitting their heads is quite common, as Gandalf hitting the wall in Bilbo's Hobbit hole was also unscripted.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Leonardo DiCaprio cuts his hand. Django Unchained. If there's one on-screen mistake more famous than the Stormtrooper bonking his head, it's Leonardo DiCaprio's accident in Django Unchained. While filming the dinner table confrontation, DiCaprio accidentally slammed his hand into stemmed glassware and sliced it open.
Hey! Now lay your palm flat on that tabletop! If you lift those palms off that turtle shell tabletop, Mr. Pooch is gonna let loose with both barrels that sawed off.
Ever the professional, DiCaprio didn't even flinch and continued the scene as planned. It wasn't until later that he looked down at his hand to assess the damage and saw it covered in blood.
Mr. Moby, would you be so kind as to collect the pistol hanging off these boys' hips here?
After the scene cut, DiCaprio reportedly received a standing ovation by the cast and crew. It was also he who had the idea of smearing blood on Broomhilda's face, although fake blood was used for the sequence.
What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh?
Did you know these were genuine mistakes? Let us know in the comments below.
This has really got to be embarrassing for you guys, huh?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.